Welcome back to another episode of Legacy of Leaders, where we highlight leaders who are making an impact. I'm Morgan Allen, and we have a fantastic panel discussion today with the leaders of the Florida Supply Chain Summit. Today we have Mary Robbins over on the far corner here with OIA Global. We have Joanne Kazmierski with the Florida Supply Chain Summit. And then we have Paul Eason with UNF. Thank you all so much for joining.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's start with you, Joanne. You are heading this whole thing. So tell me about the Florida Supply Chain Summit.
Well, thank you, Morgan. The Florida Supply Chain Summit has been around since 2019. We started the conversation in an office at Port Tampa Bay in the executive director's office. From that time, we started our first summit. It was in Orlando at the Contemporary Resort in the Kennedy Ballroom. It was amazing. And we started this movement. And since then, we have been, I think we're heading on our seventh summit. And we've been in Orlando, Tampa twice, Miami, Jacksonville, and we'll be heading to Orlando just next week. So yeah, and it's a great opportunity for businesses to network, educators to interface, and really grow the workforce for our industry cluster.
Beautiful. So yes, we want to talk primarily today about the benefits of the workforce and the benefits of business and how they all come together logistically, if you will.
Oh, there you go.
So Paul, let's talk to you about with UNF, how are you guys conjoining worlds with bringing the workforce into the logistics industry?
So I think if you look at how people are valuing college degrees these days, the question is, why spend the 4 years? Why spend the money? And if you're not interfacing with industry, if you're not talking to the folks who are going to be hiring your students to know what industry expects of them, what skills they want, you're going to miss the mark on offering essentially a product that the student benefits from. But we also have faculty who do applied research. They work in these areas that allow them to assist industry. We do modeling, we do research studies, economic advancement studies. So it's a very symbiotic relationship. We learn as much from industry as industry gets from us and the students that we produce. So if you don't have that connection, then everyone misses out.
Yeah, absolutely. So it seems very beneficial for the two worlds to come together, especially there's like a workforce shortage in the labor industries these days with our young people all getting into the white collar instead of the blue collar. So I'm sure this helps in some way in the future.
And I think if you think about supply chain in general, most people think about the I don't have toilet paper during COVID incident of supply chain when you realize when it doesn't work, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't think about all of the components of the supply chain. So starting with manufacturing through the transportation, logistics, the shipping, and the financial transactions that complete the cycle, that's 5 different colleges, 5 different majors. And so when you think about manufacturing, it's a vastly growing industry in Florida right now. People don't think about, I want to be a manufacturer when I grow up. But engineering, physics, chemistry, biology all feeds into those areas. So I think it's important to recognize that it's a very holistic industry to society. So we got to have a lot of different majors supplying those jobs.
And it's so true. As a civilian, I don't think about all of the things that go into logistics. I think, trucks and boats and things. Very small-minded over here. But I love what you said. There's all those different colleges that feed into this huge industry. Amazing. So let's talk business. So Mary, tell me a little bit about how the business world benefits from this summit.
Well, first, let me start by saying logistics is such a broad term. My company is more in the supply chain management, international shipping, customs brokerage, freight forwarding, product sourcing. We do a lot of different things at OIA. We're a worldwide company. We do have offices in we have offices in Miami and Jacksonville. So we're well represented when we have a summit in Orlando. I work with a lot of shippers. Shippers play an important role in the supply chain, but it all comes down to the area of expertise. And that's where the education part of it comes in. And that's what we're going to focus on this year. But I will say the one great thing about the summit that people like me in the industry can benefit from is the networking. Every time we go to a conference or a meeting, the feedback is always there should be more networking. So Joanne has taken in those recommendations and she has developed the summit program. So it does focus on the networking aspect as well.
All right, so Joanne, tell me about when someone participates in this summit, what is the experience that they're going to go through?
Great question. Regarding the summit, it starts out with a steering committee first. And so there's many ways to interface and network within the summit platform, if you will, or the movement, if you will. And so we do have a 33-member statewide steering committee who helps develop programming and direction, times of the summit, topics. They really have a great pulse on the state of Florida. And I will say that when people ask about our statewide steering committee, what I say about them, they're 1 or 2 degrees away of separation from any business within the state. Mm-hmm. That's how great, tight, and networked this group is. The other focus is really our board of directors, in which Paul is our chairman. And so there is an actual thought leader group that is more of the governing board of where are we going now, but where do we need to go? So some of the platforms that we have is we obviously have the summit, which is several days. It starts out with a Monday networking social, and then there's wonderful programming and professional development, fresh learning. Global disruption is one of our biggest topics this year, and everybody knows. So we try to make sure that our topics are timely so people come to learn. And as Mary just talked about regarding the networking, that is absolutely critical. But leading up to the summit, we offer webinars. And so these are opportunities where if they can't make it to the summit, they can go on virtual learning opportunities. And for instance, we did have a wonderful workforce a webinar recently, and we involved all the universities in the state. Well, not all, but there were 4 on the call, in which UNF was one of them. Mm-hmm. And we do represent the state. And then the other thing is the webinars kind of delve into topics a little bit more. AI and logistics has been a big what's happening with AI. And so we really did the webinar. And then one last thing before I turn it back over is that as we move forward to the summit, we're going to be doing things called Inside the Chain, which are opportunities to really kind of learn more what happens inside the supply chain. And for instance, City Furniture, if you've ever driven on I-4, I feel like you're driving a half a mile later, you're still seeing the long distribution warehouse and you wonder what's going on in there. And so we're actually partnering with partners like City Furniture and others that are going to give us opportunities to really get into it, get into their space and learn more about what they do. So this Florida supply chain, although it is a summit, a 3-day event, it has really become greater in the reference to offering webinars and also this Inside the Chain movement and whatever else the board and the steering committee decide.
Yeah. Wow.
It's
very exciting.
The webinars are no cost and they're very informative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is awesome. And so, Paul, as a chairman of the board, what is one of the goals that you guys have?
So I think awareness across the industry itself is important, and not just within the subsets. So, we talked about shippers, we talked about logistics, but manufacturing is a whole subset. The fintech and transactional side is a whole subset. The appreciation for the reason why it's called a chain is that it only functions as a chain as long as all the links are contiguous and working together. So sometimes you don't know maybe the person in the next link of that chain that you need to get to know so that when a disruption occurs, you can solve your problem faster. So I think it's this more holistic understanding of the supply chain as an industry with just a whole lot of subsets that these networking opportunities really allow that kind of exposure. You get to know the subject matter expert from the perspective of the industry side as well as the education side. And you know who to call on when something goes wrong. Because again, everyone appreciates the supply chain when it's not working.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's important to know how to get it fixed and get it running again.
Yeah.
So I think as we talk about what's next, and it's opportunities to enhance the networking, it's opportunities to enhance the education in a way that maybe I'm on the manufacturing side of things, but I have developed a much greater appreciation for the shipping and the transportation side of things. So we make these learning opportunities tractable for folks who aren't just looking to reinforce their own knowledge, but to expand it across these other links of the chain. I think that's really the goal.
Yeah, education really is the key. Because once you're informed, once everyone is on the same page, everything flows. I love it. So Mary, last question for you. What are you looking forward to most about the summit?
The challenges manufacturers are having probably source of material. and the importance that manufacturers play on our U.S. economy.
Perfect. Well, any final thoughts before we close out our segment today?
I'll share, and then Paul, I'd like you to wrap it up. But so I just think that the one thing that really hit me this year, being on our 7th full year, we did actually run a virtual one during COVID, and then we were supposed to have a summit during COVID as well, and we had to cancel that. So we've really been since 2019, which is pretty significant. But the thing is the word that really hit me this year, a movement. It's not just an event. It's a group of people that are so tightly knit, and the attendees that come and people who participate in our webinars are walking away with I want to be a part of that. And what is even better is that they're not only a part of it, but they're getting business, and the economic growth that occurs because of handshakes, because of interactions, is what makes it a movement more than just a summit. And so when I heard that word movement this year, I thought that's who we are. And so I want people to understand that although it may just sound like a 3-day event, it's more than that. Mm-hmm. The work that goes into that 3-day event planning is a year long, as we all know. And these people are so well connected in the state, making business happen for growth in the supply chain.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Paul, any final thoughts?
I just want to express how exciting it's been for me to be involved with this group. You just don't appreciate how much of the backbone of Florida's economy is based in this. And when you realize between the ports and the airports and the transportation networks, as well as the manufacturers, it really is exciting to see this much activity, this much synergy. And you want some healthy competition, Port of Miami versus Jacksport. But at the same time, if you're not collaborating, the state doesn't move forward. So this really provides this fantastic opportunity to know your industry, to know the folks that you're collaborating with and working with and competing with, to the benefit of the state. So it's just a really nice group of folks to work with.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much for joining and for informing me about your movement. It is really exciting.
Awesome. Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you.
Yes.
And viewers, thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you want more information on the Florida Supply Chain Summit, head on over to dailynewsnetwork.com and we have it right there. We'll see you in the next episode of Legacy of Leaders.